Hello and welcome. I'm your host and facilitator, Elwanda Bennett. I am delighted and excited to introduce you to somebody very magnificent. She has to be one of the top PMP coaches in the United States with a pass rate of over 98%. If you get her for your coaching, you're doggone sure going to pass the test. The only reason I know that is because she coached me. Um, she was able to take me from a lower level to a higher level because what I needed was someone to help influence my understanding and my thinking of the test. I was thinking real life. She was saying, no, you follow instead of the pin box, do it like it tells you. And that's how I was able to pass. So I'm very grateful to her. And I want you to meet her because she's going to teach us something new today that you don't know anything about. And how I know? Because I didn't know. That's how I know you don't know. Okay? So, without any further preamble, I want you to welcome the esteemed Elaine Jackson. Welcome and
Hey,
good afternoon.
good afternoon. Good afternoon on this great Friday. Hi, everyone. Elaine
Thank you
here in
for being.
Massachusetts. Elaine Jackson from Holistic PMC here in Massachusetts.
Well, I'm certainly going to come up there one day, but I am thrilled to have you. I had a really super question for you that just had me stuck. I know about IQ and EQ, intelligence quotient, emotional intelligence. Tell me about PQ, this positive intelligence, because I don't know a lot about it.
Okay, so a little bit of backstory. As you know, Dr. Bennett, you and I have been friends for, God, it must be over 10 years. I have to go back and see when we first met, but I'm always sharing information. And I think the best thing you can ever do as a professional is always be willing to share information with others, because if others succeed, certainly by the sense of reciprocity, right? They should feel, well, God, he helped me, she helped me. Let me turn around and give them a lifting hand. So I do that all the time. And in doing that, someone had introduced me to PQ, but I was like, my head was like in so many places. I said, I don't have time to think about this. And I passed it off to someone else, a friend of mine named Anne Marie Harry, and she does mindfulness workshops and all that sort of stuff for years and years. And when I gave it to her, she took the ball and ran with it. And a year later, she's about ready to do huge summits in Costa Rica and places like that. But we're talking big ticket events where she's helping people change their lives in a big way. And I'm like, oh my God, did I miss that opportunity? So I would say about 7, 8 months ago, no more than that, about a year ago, I decided, let me start my PQ journey. And my goodness, PQ is also known as positive intelligence. The founder, his name is Shazard, and he has been phenomenal in his sharing of his materials. Some of the trainings you can find on YouTube. You can probably get to his YouTube video. His with TED Talk is out there for free, and it's just so empowering to know that the thoughts you hear inside your head, sometimes you're like, you're hearing voices in your head. Your doctor ever tell you that? Do you hear voices? I always say no, because I know oh, so you have problems. So let's see, what are those voices telling you?
Oh,
My
my.
voices are telling me to go shopping. I don't know what your voices are saying. Your voices may be telling you to spend money, eat more ham and cheese sandwiches. I don't know. But I know my voices are telling me to enjoy life and to help others along that journey. So in PQ, you're hearing things, you're saying things to yourself. We're talking about limiting beliefs. There's also a term that I learned from a coach. His name is Alexei Grishenko. He's a phenomenal coach. And the reason I'm name dropping, I try to surround myself with good people, people with good energy, people that give back to me so that I can give more. But if you're in a crowd or in a setting with people that are stingy, selfish, don't share, it's hard for you to share because you can't see it coming back. And so I
Right.
drop these names not so that you can run out and spend your every last dime with them, although that would be great. The point is knowing that I have resources that I can. If you came to me and you said, "Hey, Elaine, I don't need project management training, but I need help in being more positive about my life, or being having more thoughts that are empowering rather than demotivating. So PQ allows you to understand what we call the saboteurs. And the saboteurs are like the avoider, the overachiever. I always thought being an overachiever was great. I over deliver and I give it all I got. But what does that do to somebody that's doing all they got, but it's only half or a third of what I do? How do they feel when they're in my presence? Someone that I'm in a networking group told me 2 weeks ago, she said, I don't want you to change. You're a great person, but I want you to know that every time I'm around you and you start talking, I feel intimidated. I was like, well, what do I do with that? I said, well, I read a lot. She says, yeah, you do. You read a lot when you post. Your posts are big and you're just engaged in big ways. And I didn't know, did she want me to run away from home, like pack a bag and put it on a stick and like walk down the road and go home? Or, like they say, play big or go home, And I've always, because of my upbringing, had to deliver. Deliver. You got, like, I'm not gonna say. Well, my dad's already passed away, so it's not like DSS can go and bring any charges against him. But he was brutal. He was brutal. If I got a math question wrong, the ruler came out, and we got the ruler across the fingers. I mean, and I don't want to say too much about that, but that kind of parenting has its place, and bad or good, it gets results fast. That's
I
all I can
will,
say about
I
that.
will tell you this. I have noticed in the past year a definite shift, a market shift in how you perceive things. I have noticed that. So
Yeah.
I think that PQ training has enhanced your ability to deliver. I really do think that.
It it
I've
it
seen you do more like not so much experimental, but I've seen you reaching for the stars. I see you pursuing those things that interest you, and I see you following your curiosity and fulfilling, your life's work, which is to help people. So, watching that transformation has been very interesting for me, as someone that knows you.
awesome, awesome, awesome. Yeah, I have been going out on the edge. I used to say, let me play in the middle of the road because I don't want people to think I'm being greedy or I'm being too aggressive or whatever. And now I'm like, going to meet my mark, meet my goals, help people. And if somebody is upset with that, if they want me to help them, I'll help them. But the bottom line is that if people have something to say that's negative, I have found that because of PQ, there are these things called SAGE. So we have SAGE exercises that we do. And I don't want to give up too much of the gems about PQ because we have some workshops. We have some free workshops. There's a free assessment that I do. And there's also an opportunity for you to actually join in a pod with me and work on some of the things that you keep saying to yourself. So just before we got on the call, I did some little AI research and I wanted to really focus in on what are the negative thoughts that we're having on a daily basis.
Okay.
And I found out that on a daily basis, the average human has 60 to 80,000 thoughts. 60 to 80,000 thoughts. So
Whoa.
when you ask someone something and they say, "Oh, I don't have an opinion," you're like, "Yeah, you do. You're just not sharing."
Ah,
Yeah, you do. You have something
okay.
to say, but you're just not, or maybe you're not hearing your own voice in your head. Also, in terms of that 60 to 80,000, we only process 2,500 to 3,300 of those thoughts. That's amazing. I'm like, how do I get to the other 60,000? It's like I feel like I'm running like a train going down, and the brakes are not working. I'm just going.
So
And
your
guess
mind
what?
is filtering out the other thoughts and only
I
leaving
I
you with
think
these
I
3,000, of which there's some bums in there, some
Well,
bum
the thing
tickets.
is, we're human, right? So we're going to focus on what gives us pleasure. And I guess if you're an angry person, you're going to focus on and obviously, if somebody's an angry person, they may like being angry. So again, they're focusing on the pleasure centers. what gives them pleasure, what helps them feel safe. Like the Maslow's hierarchy, that lower level. I used to always think I'm originally from New York, I used to always think if I saw someone on the highway bumming for money, I'm like, oh my God, just get a job, save the money, you can have a house. But if they don't feel safe, if they're from a broken environment and they don't feel safe, they had a spouse that beat up on them, the mother told them they'd be nothing. It's hard to come from that and just like put on a power suit and go down to Wall Street and try to take over, do a financial takeover. That's just not the step to step process is not that easy. And so when you look at the negative thoughts, 95% of 80% of what people think about is negative. That's sad. That's really sad. Since I have been doing PQ, I'm a martial artist. So I just put it out there like that. So in case you say, oh, she's a woman that likes to hit people, I do, but it's within the scope.
I knew it would come out at some point. I knew
anybody that's a martial artist, the pleasure of working out on the mat. It's just something pleasurable about that kind of over exercising. And I have found that since working on PQ, I don't get triggered when people do stupid stuff. I'm like, that's interesting. And then I start to think about maybe what brought them to that point. What happened in their life that brought them to that point. But I can feel when people try to intentionally negatively jab me and get me started. It's like water running off a duck's back. I can almost feel it just comes, there it goes. Not bothered, not bothered. It makes me a little concerned about what is going to be the one thing that's going to make me go like, when the snakes come out. Well, but I hope, you see, the thing in PQ, you sort of learn what the triggers are.
Right.
You start to feel it. In the beginning, I wouldn't sense it. I'd be like full into rage of anger, yelling, screaming, talking about stuff. Oh, he said and she said. But then about 10 minutes into it, oh man, they caught me. They caught me off guard. Then I catch myself sooner and sooner, so that now when I see it coming, I can see it like a slow throw of a football or slow throw of or some kind of football or baseball. Someone's throwing at you. That you start to see it coming, slow motion, and it's like, oh, here it comes, And what am I going to say? Hey, have a nice day. Hey, can I do something for you? And it just throws people off to see that I'm not going to allow them to goat me into having a fight on LinkedIn. People used to love that. They would say something, I'd go off, and then all of a sudden the views would go from like 500 to 8,000. I'm like, oh, they were like sitting there, they love that. And I'm like, no, I don't want to be known for fighting on LinkedIn. I don't want to be fighting on Facebook and all those other platforms. That's not who I am. That's not all that I bring is a good fight. So you have to, the PQ is allowing individuals to understand what are the things that trigger you and how can you turn around and make that work to your advantage by making sure that you're addressing your issues and coming up with the right response to temper yourself down and to be ready for engaging professionally.
Well, if somebody wanted to reach out to you, Elaine, and get more information on the PQ, because I know this is like a teaser, we're going to go deeper into it, probably start a little series talking about the different aspects of it. But if somebody wanted to act on this right away and see how this particular way of thinking and way of working could help them, maybe they're an agilist, maybe they're a project manager, portfolio or program manager, and they're looking to enhance their skills and their gravitas and things of that nature.
Exactly.
How would they reach out to you? How would they capture you?
Yeah, I do best with contacts on LinkedIn because I have like over 16,000 contacts. I probably have more than that, but that's where the contacts of the people I engage with on a daily and weekly, monthly basis is the 16,000 that are on LinkedIn. And so you can find me on LinkedIn, Elaine Jackson, or you can Elaine Jackson, the one listed in either Boston or Massachusetts, Baldwinville, whatever the town shows there. I'm not sure. It sort of fluctuates. You give them a zip code and it sort of tries to put pull the closest town. But I want to make sure that people understanding PQ is important. It doesn't have to be, oh, I got to spend billions of dollars, but you need to invest in yourself. You need to invest in your own growth because this way you have skin in the game. You say, I invested in this, I want to see it successfully end. But if you don't have any skin in the game and you start to feel, oh, this is getting a little complicated, it's very easy to walk away. It's like not being in a marriage, right? You're dating somebody, it's not working out. Yeah, I'm going to quit them. I'm going to not answer their phone call. I'm going to delete them out of my phone book and away they go. But if you're married to somebody, you've got to deal with the issues. Even if you're going to get divorced, you still have to go talk to them and go to court and come to a settlement. So the bottom line is in your life, you're going to need to use some kind of skills. And as we can see, as the year has already kicked off, people are dealing with challenges and you've got to have an arsenal of tools to deal with those challenges, or you'll be nothing more than a victim where somebody does something and you react to that. Then you're yelling, screaming, go over here, over there. And they turn around and find out your whole life is a shambles because you're not focusing on what really matters most, which is you, your success, and your happiness. So find me on LinkedIn. You can see on the stream, Dr. Bennett had put my phone number. I'm not afraid to have my phone number out there. I've been in business for over 20 some years. I think it's because of the martial arts. Nobody dares say, hey, I want to fight you.
I noticed that when you're in meetings, I noticed that it's easier to text you rather than call you. That way, I'm not interrupting you. And what I find that on your busiest days, you're still able to engage. So I'm going to encourage them to text you too, because I know that's a good method that works for you. It allows you to keep your time freedom, but it also allows you to have a greater connection with the people that you're serving. So I think that's a really good way to also
I
reach
think
out
so.
to
And
you.
I don't pick up the phone for rent. I don't have time for that. I
No, you're
don't
not
have
for the
time.
randos. You don't want to talk to the randos, the randoms.
I
You don't
do.
want to talk to them.
I made a phone call. Just I'll be quick. I made a phone call to a number a client gave me. They said, "Oh, this person's looking for training." When I contacted her, it happened to be the wrong number. And I was just like, "Oh, ma'am, I'm so sorry to have bothered you. I thought this number was about project management training and whatever." And that's not the only focus that we're doing. We're doing workshops and training in terms of other areas, sustainability and public speaking. And the woman was like, "No, that's not my name." But she says, "But tell me what it is you offer." And within 5 minutes, she's like, "Where do I make the payment?" I was like, that's so unusual that somebody who didn't never even knew me trusted me in 5 minutes and said, "Where do I make the payment?" She was ready. She was on board immediately.
That's because
And
what you're offering is a solution to a problem that people may not realize. They may not understand their triggers, their conflict management style, or even the fact that they're lacking in PQ, in positive intelligence, because you came to it as a person that wasn't a practitioner, and in a year's time, you're working it out, and now you're helping other people on board and manage that part of their lives. So to me,
exactly,
that's an exciting transition because you're
exactly.
providing a very important service. People want it. So I'm going to encourage everyone to go out and get the PQ. I know that I'm going to be learning more about it in order to enhance my work. Last thing I did, deputy program manager at the Department of Defense, and things are different in government. So right now, what I'm enjoying is the transition to whatever's next, and I know I will need this in my toolkit. So
It,
Elaine,
it, it
thank you.
works
Would
for
you like to?
children too. It
Oh,
works for children too.
it works for children.
On spouses too.
Oh. You're ringing them in. You're ringing them in. So have a splendid day. Thank you for giving us an introduction to PQ. And what I'm hoping is that I can have you back. I would definitely love to have you back to explain more to us and maybe take us through a few exercises where we can learn something.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. I wish us nothing but the best for everyone as they enter into the new year. Wishing you the best, and I look forward to connecting with all of you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Elaine, and I appreciate you.